Hi, I'm Jerry Weber. Just a quick thought. I did something several days ago I don't recommend. I was thinking about some decisions in front of me, pondering the situation of the world and a pandemic that seems to be blowing up yet again, looking for something to hold me steady. And so I opened one of my Psalm books, one of the books I use for prayer, and it just opened to Psalm 16. And these are the words I read. O Lord, you are my portion and my cup. It is you who hold my lot. My boundaries enclose a pleasant land. Indeed, I have a goodly heritage. Those words really stirred me. And so I picked up a more modern translation that I love. And in that translation, I read, You, you, only you are my share and my cup. You have drawn my lot, and it has fallen out agreeably. So I pondered that and I reflected on that, wrote about that, prayed with that. And I've been pondering for several days on my boundaries and my lot. I'm asking the question, what is mine to do? And what is my calling? What is the part of life that I'm responsible for? What matters are mine to be concerned about? And what matters are outside my control? Things that may invite me to pray for them, but that don't fluster me when they don't go as I think they should go. I find that's really difficult for me to do, but it's helpful. It's a helpful exercise in these days when pandemic is blowing up and uh, political fighting feels like it's beyond healing, and social issues divide us rather than unite us, and relationships are strained by all the pressures of daily life. In times like these, I need to be anchored. I need to be mindful of my boundaries, of the things that I can control and the things I can't control, the things that are outside the scope of the boundaries of Jerry's life, that invite me to pray for those, but not to manage them and not to manipulate them. The things that are beyond my reach, things like the behavior of others, the person at the grocery store, or the behavior of a family member, or things as large as the magnitude of COVID that I can't ultimately control the grand scope of. But there are things within my own boundaries, things that have been given to me pretending. I think one of the fallacies, one of the great fallacies that many of us carry in life to one extent or another is the belief that my life would be okay and would be fine if all these other things in the external world just calm down. Or something like, I could be happy if so and so would just treat me better. If they were a better person, or if they did this for me, then I could be happy. Or I'd be okay if this pandemic would just go away, or something like that. In short, the belief is that if things out there, things in the external world would just get straightened out, then the things in here inside me would be better. My interior well-being, in other words, is dependent on what happens in the outer world. In the outer world, giving me a setting that befits calm and well-being. But the reality is, my friends in 12-step recovery work call that stinking thinking. The reality is there's nothing in the outer world that can guarantee your happiness and my happiness. There's nothing out there that can guarantee my well-being. Happiness and well-being are inside jobs. No one else can make us happy. No external circumstance ever has the power to make us happy. So how do I step more fully into that? How do I drop anchor? How do I find a sense of calm and well-being when everything seems so turbulent around me? How do I step into that kind of stance? And I'll just share with you a couple of things that I've come to for myself. Uh, First, I want to be honest about my own boundaries and my limitations. Are there people in my life I'm trying to control? I'm trying to control their behavior, or I'm trying to control what they believe, or how they believe, or how they express themselves. Do I get angry because people I don't agree with act in the way I don't think they should act? Do I stay always flustered by something going on in the world? So I want to take an appraisal of that, of myself in relationship to that, and ask, what has God called me to be responsible for? And then what is beyond my control? How have the boundaries fallen for me in pleasant places? What are those limitations to the influence that I have, or to the voice that I have, or to the actions that I could perform? And then recognize that beyond that, those are issues for my prayer. Those are maybe issues for my concern, but fixing what's out there is not necessarily going to make me happy. Okay, I have to start on the inside. The second thing I'd say is what I want to do for myself is find a single spiritual practice that becomes for me an anchoring or rooting practice in this season of life. And maybe something like taking your dog for a walk every day, or reading a page in a devotional book, or pausing for silent prayer or meditation once a day or twice a day, or pausing your day to cook a meal, to do something that helps to remind you of being anchored in God, grounded in God, that helps you to be mindful of that rooting, that place where you're rooted. While all the world is turbulent around you and me, what is that place that would help you to experience this sense of rooting? And if nothing comes to mind for you real quickly, I'd say just experiment with some different things, try out some different things. The roots of the word meditation mean to remain in the center. And that's what a spiritual practice, if it's meditative in nature, will help you to do, to remain in the center. And that's what we're after. Finally, the third thing I would say is to be mindful of how others are experiencing these days also. What are these days like for those who are food insecure? What is it like to experience a pandemic if you're food insecure? How might frontline workers, like grocery store employees, for instance, experience the pandemic? Well, I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that, but I can imagine that that's very difficult. So what might I be invited to do that would help that? It may have to do with just my behavior, just my posture, my stance. When I go to the grocery store once every week or two and try to go early in the morning when there's not a crowd there, it might just have to do with my stance and the greeting that I give to an employee, or it might have something much more far-reaching, have something tangible in it that I could do for persons who are in different kind of situations. How are persons of different racial backgrounds, not my own, experiencing these days of strife and turmoil and conversation about racial issues? So this third point in centering me and anchoring me gets me outside of myself and into the wider world, not to control the outer world, or not to manipulate it, or not to make it like it's my own, like it belongs to me, but to say, how are other people experiencing these same times? And what is the invitation of God to me to be involved in the world in a way that's healing and in a way that's life-giving? And after all, that's the question that I always want to be asking about life. God, what are you inviting me to do? How can I join you in the work that you're already doing in these places with this group of people or in that part of the world? How can I join you to be a life-giving presence in that situation? How can I further the kingdom of God in that place and partner with you, God, in what you're already doing? Well, that's my 5-minute thought. Now has gone to about 8 minutes. So it's good to see you. Peace and love to you. And I'll say bye till next time. Thanks.